This is the third lesson of the 7th unit on finance. Specifically, in this lesson, we'll be talking about obtaining a vehicle. In life, most people want or need to have a car for everyday life. Purchasing a car is likely to be the second most expensive purchase a person makes, and therefore takes some thought and planning. So the first thing that we're going to do in this lesson is discuss the different options for buying a car. So for some reason, the first time I recorded this, it didn't work. So most of the things are filled out. So I'll just kind of be reading through them with you as we go along. So the first option is to buy a brand new car and pay cash for it. Okay, so what I mean by this is just you're literally going to a dealership, you're buying a brand new car, and you're paying for it right up front. So this likely is not very realistic for where you're currently at in your life, but one day this is a possibility for you. So some pros of buying a new car and just paying cash right up front. So you know your car is not going to have any existing problems. It's not going to have any existing problems. You will own the car, it will be yours, and you will have warranty on the car. So if something happens, it likely or it possibly will be covered by that car company. Some cons of buying a brand new car and paying cash. Obviously, you need all of that money up front, and it's going to be rather expensive, right? It's a brand new car. The car's value is going to depreciate quickly. So again, depreciate just means it's losing value. And lastly, you're going to need all of that money up front. So you're going to need the total amount of money it costs for the car on the day you purchase the car. So if that isn't an option, if that doesn't work with your needs, there are a couple other options. So you could still get a new car, but you could buy it using financing. So when you finance a car, you basically are paying a deposit, usually around 10%, and then you make monthly payments. So if you don't make those monthly payments, technically they can take your car away. So there are some pros to financing. So the first thing is that they have lower interest rates. You don't need the money up front, and you gain ownership over time. So you don't technically own your car immediately, but as you continue making those monthly payments, eventually you will own the vehicle. Some cons, on the other hand, you need to budget every month for that cost, right? Because it's something that you're going to pay off time and time again until you fully own the car. And you are going to end up paying more for the car in the long run than just buying it up front, because obviously the people who are financing you this car, they want to make money too, so they are going to charge you interest as you pay off your car. Third option is to lease a vehicle. So similar to financing, you would make a small down payment and then have monthly payments. The difference is that you can choose to return the car when your term is up. So some pros of leasing: again, you'll have warranty. If you wanted, you could have a new car every 2 to 3 years. So if your term is up, you can choose to get into a new lease where you would get another brand new car. And the monthly payments are going to be lower than financing. Some cons: you don't actually, whoa, that's weird. You don't actually own the vehicle. You need a stable income, right? Because you're making those monthly payments again, or you at least have to think about that each month and budget for it. Typically when you are in a lease, there's mileage limits, so you can't just take off and drive cross country. You have a certain amount of miles that you have to stay under. And you're going to have to pay for wear and tear. So if something happens with your car, maybe it gets a scratch or something, that is going to be your responsibility to fix it. And the last option, which is likely the option that many of us, including myself, are kind of starting off with is buying a used car. So buying a used car, you can do this privately, so through a friend or maybe from like a Kijiji ad or from a used car dealership. So some pros of buying a used car, obviously they cost less money, right? And they're not going to depreciate as quickly. They technically have already depreciated quite a lot, so it kind of levels out like our exponential growth there. Our exponential decay. Some cons, you won't have any warranty. And a big con for people is that you don't know the history of the car, so it could have existing issues. So the people that you're buying it for might not tell you about a problem, and then you buy it, and now that problem is your problem. So you can't take it back because of the problem. You kind of have to deal with it. All right. So let's talk a bit more about financing a new vehicle. So a local dealership is selling a new compact car for $17,995 plus taxes. The dealership offers financing at 4.9% annual interest, compounded monthly over 4 years. You've saved $3,000 for a down payment and will finance the rest. What will be your monthly payment? So step 1 is to calculate the cost of the vehicle with that tax. So we know that all we have to do there is multiply by 1.13. So the cost of this vehicle with tax, with that 13%, is $20,334.35. So step 2 is to use an online calculator to determine the monthly payments if the car was financed. So instead of me switching my screen back and forth, we are going to take a look at this mortgage calculator when we're on Teams. So, I mean, it's called a mortgage calculator, but we're technically using it as a finance, I guess, calculator. So, although from your compound interest unit, you should technically be able to figure this out with an equation, I'm going to show you kind of a quick and easy way for the future that you can use to determine what your monthly payments could be. So we will take a look at this on Teams. And of course, to find the total cost, we will also need to use Teams. So the second option is to lease a new vehicle. So when you're leasing a vehicle, you're basically just entering into a contract. So that contract is going to outline how much you're paying per month, how many miles you're allowed to drive, how long your term is, stuff like that. Okay, so in that contract, what it basically is saying is you can drive the car, but you don't actually own the car. So looking at an example here, it says, to lease a new car selling for $24,000, a customer agrees to pay a $1,000 down payment and to make 48 monthly payments of $369. Calculate the total cost of leasing the vehicle. So if we know we have to pay $369 for 48 monthly payments, that's 48 times. So we just take our monthly payment times the amount of monthly payments we're going to make. There we go. Which gives us a total of $17,712 plus the $1,000 down payment we made. That means to lease this vehicle, it is going to cost us $18,712. Okay, so part B says calculate the average cost per month over the lifetime of the lease. So kind of a strange question, but it just wants you to incorporate that $1,000. So although you're paying that $1,000 up front, it's just saying, okay, well, if you wanted to break this down as a monthly cost, how much would it be? We know we're paying 48 times, so we're going to divide that by 48, which means we're paying $389.83 per month. Okay, last part here, part C, says at the end of the lease, you have an option to buy out the car for its residual value. If the residual value of the car is $15,000, how much will the vehicle have cost you in total? So obviously all you have to do is take the amount you're paying plus the $15,000. So this is what I was saying. With leasing, you have the option to either buy out the car or to start a new lease. Add those together, which means to lease this vehicle and then buy it out, it will be $33,712. So if we look back, the actual new car price was only $24,000. So technically, if we would have known we were going to keep the car in the first place, it would have been smarter to just pay it up front, right? And just buy it as a new vehicle. But the problem is a lot of people just don't have $24,000 sitting in their bank account ready to put on a vehicle, right? So because you leased, it ended up actually costing you more money, but you might not have had the option to actually buy that car upfront for that $24,000. All right, last example. So the third option is to buy a used vehicle. So a used car will cost much less than a new model of the same car. Sometimes the used car loan will have a shorter payback period than a loan for a new car. A car is advertised for sale in a local newspaper for $4,500. Determine the cost of the vehicle with tax. Again, super easy, always the same. You're always just multiplying by that 1.13. This note over here is kind of irrelevant. It just says basically that in the past, you would have only had to pay 8% PST, but now that we have HST, it's 13% on used cars as well. And again, we're going to use this online calculator this time to determine the monthly payment on a loan at 8% interest compounded monthly for 2 years. And again, you should know how to do this from our compound interest unit by using a formula. I am now showing you another way to do it, which is to use this online calculator. So we will do that during our Teams meeting so you can see how that works. Okay, this is the end of the third lesson of the 7th unit on obtaining a vehicle.